There are people who are literally dying across the country because hospitals will turn away the ambulance that they're arriving on. This is a legal thing for hospitals to do, and it is costing people their lives. Tiffany Tate was one person who suffered a stroke and died because the ambulance that she arrived on was turned away by the hospital. Now, this all started 4 years ago when she had told some of the other kitchen workers at a kitchen that she works at that she had a headache and felt weak. She figured that it was because of a new medication for her back pain, but she actually did suffer from a stroke and was rushed to the hospital. So this is, again, something that hospitals can legally do. To give you some more details on it, the latest research says that sending patients directly to top-level stroke centers, hospitals that can administer blood clotting drugs or go through arteries to physically remove clots, offers the best chance for survival. And she was sent to that hospital in that ambulance. But emergency departments in hospitals nationwide have been quietly deploying a controversial tactic, turning would-be patients away. Officially, it's called hospital diversion. And I'm gonna give you more details on what hospital diversion is and how it's being used. Before I get to that though, I want you to hear from Tiffany Tate's brother, who explains exactly what happened on that day when she suffered from the stroke.
The medical college where she worked at is connected to Freighter Hospital. It's only a skywalk that connects them together. And when I got to Freighter Hospital, they had no acknowledgement of my sister. And it's like, well, what the hell? Where is she? So once the ambulance left the medical college, which is right next door to Freighter, they went over to West Allis Memorial in MILWAUKEE, which is like another 15, 20-minute drive from Freighter. And they couldn't treat my sister at West Allis Memorial. They didn't have the right equipment to treat her for a stroke.
We've got the medical center she worked at, which is a walkway away from the hospital that has the equipment, and they turned her away. The ambulance has to go to another hospital that previous to getting there, apparently they didn't know, that doesn't have the equipment to do it. All these things you would think could be streamlined to know what's going on. I mean, I don't know if it happens to the same degree, but I haven't been doing it as much as before. I always like to know where emergency rooms and hospitals are in my neighborhood when I move to a new place. To know what's nearby, what's route are you gonna take if you're not doing an ambulance trip. You know, something's just wrong, you gotta get there. You know, a leg is broken, you know, and you're taking someone there. And I was thinking that's just an amateur way of doing it. With professionals with an ER unit or ambulance running to places, I don't know how they don't know what's available.
It's crazy, and it's crazy.
And that's after the first problem of she not being able to go to the first one that's right across the street.
Right, that was that's the part of the story that's just a total disconnect.
It's ideal if you're suffering from a stroke to get the treatment that you need within 3 hours. That's the critical time period. And she was turned away. Again, this is a legal practice, hospital diversion. And so they send her to another hospital. They don't have the right equipment. And then what happens? Well, her brother explains in the next video.
Now they're waiting on another ambulance to come to take her over to St. Luke's, which is another 20, 30-minute drive away. But once we ended up at St. Luke's, they tended to my sister. They did the best they could as a team of doctors, nurses. And St. Luke's, after she had the surgery, they basically told me she was gonna be a vegetable. She'd probably never be able to get up out of this hospital ever again. I let God take her when he was ready for her. My sister had just had a beautiful baby boy. She got a beautiful daughter who was 15. They didn't deserve for their mom to go like that.
So the reason why this happens is hospitals can actually decide that they're too busy and essentially hang a temporarily closed sign on the emergency room door telling ambulances to go elsewhere. Now, the law indicates that if someone walks into the emergency room, then the hospital has to take them. but they do have the ability to turn an ambulance away if they're too busy or overwhelmed. So the ambulance carrying Tiffany Tate was sent to a hospital 3 miles away that only offered limited stroke care, which is why she had to go to yet another hospital. Now, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel did a great piece on this, kind of highlighting this devastating story. And they did review 25 of the largest cities and found that 16 of them, including 9 of the 10 largest, allow ambulance diversion of some kind, though rules governing when patients can be diverted vary widely. ERs are forced to deal with an influx of psychiatric patients, the result of a federal court-ordered shift from institutional care to community placement. Over the past 15 years, emergency room visits have actually jumped from 20% to 137 million last year alone, from 114 million in 2003. So new federal laws has contributed to this. And look, this is crazy. This is crazy. We live in the richest country in the world. We're turning people away while they're suffering from a stroke and they're dying as a result of it. This is out of control, and it's such a devastating story and something that most people don't even know about.
Until you have to experience it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I didn't know about it. I didn't know about this policy of diversion. I can say, quite frankly, I'm astounded. I mean, you'd think they would get you. You'd think, as sort of as Jayar has hinted, that these ambulance drivers and medical professionals have a list of hospitals that are best for whatever, stroke, heart attack, and other kinds of emergency injuries. And they get to that hospital which would treat that situation in the most effective way. But clearly there's a lot more that goes into this. I mean, it may be legal, but it clearly subverts the process of trying to make people, trying to save lives.
For all the people who argue that we can't have universal health care in the country because countries that happen to offer universal health care have wait times that are out of control, and we have the best health care in the world. No, we don't. We don't have the best health care in the world. If we have to turn stroke patients away as they're suffering from a stroke, then we do not have the best healthcare in the country, in the world. I mean, we can't just keep turning a blind eye to this stuff.
This is this is a triumph, and I say triumph in a bad way, of administration over the real needs and health needs, right? So they make this determination that they're full, and you see hospitals do this all the time. They move patients out of one hospital bed to another hospital bed across town. These are administrative things they're doing. The hospital is front-loaded at the ICU because of surgeries that are scheduled early in the week.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff going on in a hospital beyond just, oh my God, you have a problem, we're going to take care of you. It's almost like air traffic control that's going on from an administrative standpoint. And the problem is the casualties are real.
They are.
This is a heartbreaking story.
There's no record. Like no one keeps a record of how many people died as a result of being turned away, which is crazy. The fact that we're not keeping a record of this.
Because those hospitals that turn away never have to think about it, because they, as her brother said, they had no record of her even being there. So there's no accountability for the fact that they turned her away. This is all compounded. Remember when the healthcare debate was going on, Obama was still in office, and many people who opposed it said, we have healthcare, go into an emergency room. Remember that?
Yep.
We have healthcare. You can get it anytime you want. Just mosey into an emergency room. And we're like, nobody really wants to do that. Anyone who's ever been near one knows they don't want to do that because of just that nature of it. And this aspect wasn't even brought up during that debate.
Yeah.
On top of the fact when they said we have this many people that have been transferred and just put into community areas, was that nice words for, as we talked about with LA and the situation with people living on the streets.
Yes.
So they have to deal with that many different psychiatric patients, people with other issues that are maybe consistently going in, and then now it's overloaded. And then when you're working in this type of very important profession as in being a doctor, a nurse, anything, it becomes normalized. And it's fine, we understand that people become normal in their routine of things. So saving people's lives, you go, they're gonna have to go to the next one. I'm too busy right now. And I get that human nature. But they've been put in a position where now they're able to do that because of other factors that have compounded on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, our healthcare system is so dire that people are afraid to go to the doctor for their annual visit and get the preventative care that they need. And so people will wait, unfortunately, because they feel like they have no choice. They'll wait until they're so sick that they'll end up in the emergency rooms. And the emergency rooms are jam-packed right now. That also contributes to the problem. We need an entire healthcare overhaul. People in the richest country in the world are literally dying because we have a dysfunctional healthcare system that's all about profit. That's it. It's all about profit. It's not about providing the healthcare that people need to survive. It's so sad and pathetic.
There's a lot good in the healthcare system, but as Anna says, it's covered by a lot of bad things, and many of those bad things have to do with administrations that are slave to profits. So indeed, that is the problem.
2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.